Today we're going to talk about how to wrestle bigger, stronger guys and still do good and win. Believe it or not the strongest guy in the world, not the strongest wrestler, and it was not my strategy to be the strongest wrestler. I beat plenty of guys who were stronger than me and better at me than wrestling. But we're going to focus on a couple things here. First thing is just going to be being good at wrestling. Second thing is going to be using our cardio. And third thing is going to be some strategy. So being better at wrestling, really easier said than done, but it's going to practice, focusing on techniques. If you're not going to be the strongest dude in the world, you're going to need good technique, because strong people sometimes that don't have good technique still beat you because they're freaking strong and they compensate their poor technique for being strong. And so you got to go to practice. You got to make sure you're doing moves right. You got to use leverage in your wrestling, know how to position your body, know how to grab people the correct way. All the small details that your coach is probably telling you that you're not currently paying attention to, you need to pay attention to. Where to set your feet, where to set your hands, how to grab a guy, where to push, where to pull. Those things are going to be really important, because you're not the strongest, and so you need as much leverage as possible, and you need as much correct technique as possible so everything runs smoothly. You ever see those guys that make wrestling look easy? I always watch Jason Olf, and I was like, man, he makes wrestling look really easy. It's because he's got good technique. He knows how to move someone. He knows how to react to their reactions. He knows how to use their body against them. He knows how to fake so they sprawl back, so then his snap is easy, right? He knows how to set them up so when he gets into the legs, they're not sprawling. He's just running through people. He's probably not the strongest guy in the world, right? And I have no idea if Jason Olf is strong or not. Never met him, never wrestled him or not. I would assume he has some strength about him. But he doesn't look the beefiest out there, right? But he does make wrestling look really easy, and it's really impressive. Second thing we're going to talk about is cardio. If you're not very strong, it's probably because you have good cardio, I would assume. And if you don't have good cardio and you're not strong, you better get one of the two of them, because without one of the two of them, it's going to be really hard. If you're a weak guy that doesn't have good cardio, you really got nothing going for you. So work on one or the two, if not work on both of them. This whole video, by the way, is not to say that it's okay to not be strong. I wish I would have started working out a lot earlier than what I did, but I didn't. So I had to learn. Cardio is super important, because with more big muscles, it is a lot harder to continue to wrestle for long periods of time at a higher rate of movement, right? Or whatever you want to say. I'm kind of losing my words there a little bit. But so you just got to push the match into deep waters as early as possible. Pull on that guy's head, push him, get into a bunch of scrambles, get into a bunch of wrestling positions, essentially to make this guy work really hard. Muscles take more oxygen. You don't have muscles. They have muscles. They're going to need more oxygen. They're not going to be able to breathe, get it as fast. And so you're going to be able to optimally wrestle harder than them for longer periods of time. But that being said, we only have 6 to 7 minutes of wrestling, right? So you need to make sure that you're able to get them very tired in a short amount of time. You're not going to have these long extended goes like in practice. You get a guy tired with like a 30-minute go that really doesn't mean anything, because in a match you only got 6 minutes or 7 minutes in college. So it's get a guy tired as quickly as possible by pulling on his head, pushing on him, getting into scrambles, stuff like that. The third thing is strategy that we're going to talk about. And it kind of goes with the cardio thing, but you want to get on guys' heads. You want to push. You want to pull. You want to make sure that wrestling action is happening. But the other thing that I'm going to put with this is you need to not let points get scored on you super early. You have to be good at fending off takedowns until they get tired, because strong guys are going to overpower you at the first part of the match. But once they get tired, you're going to be able to start taking over the match and scoring more points in them. So your kind of strategy should be minimal points given up in the first period, right? First and second period even. And then we need to pour it on later on in the match. So it's okay if you go 0-0 in the first period, as long as you score a whole bunch of points in the third period. It's even okay if you're losing the first period, but you score a whole bunch of points in the third period. I've lost a lot of first periods in my lifetime, but in the third period, I come back and win the matches. But if you give up too many points right away, you're not going to be able to come back.